Hi, I'm Geraldine Herbert. I do the Motoring on the Pat Kenny Show, and I'm here now to answer some questions about car buying or motoring related questions. If I don't get to them today, I will answer them on the Facebook page, so don't panic if we don't get to them.
Okay, so the first one comes in. So I'm on a tight budget, around €8,000, and I'm looking for a car to carry 3 children. What would you suggest?
Okay, a tight budget, your probably best value you're going to get is in an MPV. If you're looking at something that's suitable for 3 children, I would look at a Toyota Verso, maybe a Mazda 5. If you're a Ford driver, and there's a lot of you out there, maybe a Ford C-Max, or finally maybe a Citroen C4 Grand Picasso. I think they'd all be a good buy.
So the next one that comes in is getting a car on finance a bad idea? I'm sceptical about it, but I can't seem to afford to buy a car outright.
Okay, a car on finance. About 1 in 3 new cars now are bought on finance. If you're looking at a new car, it's definitely a good idea if there's a few provisions. Number one, that PCPs are probably the best solution at the moment. The thing you have to be aware of that though is you need to look after the car, you need to have it properly serviced, and you need to do low mileage. If you're a high mileage user, that's not going to work. Also, they work best when you don't want to own the car at the end. If you want to own your car outright, you're far better off getting a bank loan or a credit union loan. But in terms of getting the use of a car for 3 years, PCPs are good. As I said, you need to be aware of the terms and conditions, but they are probably a very economical way to get into a new car and avail of the low tax, avail of the fuel efficiency. So don't be concerned in that sense about finance as being a bad idea. Remember, cars depreciate an awful lot, so buying them outright is never, the wisest move financially. So I would certainly look at finance, but just be careful that you get the right finance package and you don't overstretch yourself.
Okay, so is it a better value to buy a car up the north?
Okay, so importing a car. Well, there's about 8,000 to 9,000 cars imported every month, and most of those come from the north. Obviously, if you go up the north, there's things you have to be careful of. You have to be very careful in terms of buying a second-hand car, that you do a history check. Now, you can do a history check either buying from the UK or buying from the north here in Ireland. There are companies like MotorCheck that will do that for you. So you need to ensure that you're getting the right value for it. So just be careful. The problem with buying either in the UK or buying in the north is if you have any issues, you're not going to be able to go back if it's the UK. You probably could go back if it's the north, but it means travelling a distance or whatever. Also, there's a number of Irish car dealers that are importing cars now, so they will do it for you. Obviously, they'll charge you a bit, but you have peace of mind of having a warranty and having security and having somebody to go back to. So just weigh up the costs. I certainly wouldn't advise not going up the north. There is very good value to be got, but just be careful that you are getting what you're paying for.
Okay, so a listener asks, can you explain how PCP works? I find it quite confusing.
Okay, right, to give you an example of how PCP works, say you're looking at a car that's just, for convenience sake, we're saying that it's a new Ford Focus and it's worth 20,000. You are going to put down either a 10%, 20% or 30% deposit. I would recommend you just put down a 10% deposit, so that's 2,000. So you put that deposit down, that's the end of that. Then the dealer will say to you that at the end of the 3-year contract, and most PCPs are for 3 years, that the car will be worth 10,000. So that's known as the future value. So now if we go back to the 20,000 that the car was worth, we take away the 2,000 deposit, we take away the 10,000 the car is going to be worth at the end. What you're left with is 8,000. That 8,000 in the middle, that bit there, is what you're going to pay off over 3 years plus interest. Things you need to be aware of with PCP, as I said already, is you have to be low mileage. They usually put quite a restrictive amount on the mileage, like 15,000. So if you're liable to change jobs, or your commute is going to change, or you can't guarantee that you're going to stay within that mileage for 3 years, you need to be careful, because you will be penalised when you bring the car back. So there are the things. So it's basically what you're paying is the depreciation plus interest, the interest. Now, a lot of the PCPs are offered a 0% APR or 1%, so look at that figure as well. That's key to making the decision. But that's essentially how PCPs work. So you put down a deposit, there's a future value. That future value then, what that means is at the end of the 3 years, you've got 3 choices. You can just hand back the keys and that's it, you're done. You had the use of the car for 3 years. You can roll on to another PCP. Now, if it turns out that you've looked after that car well, the car that was worth 10,000 now is actually worth 11,000, the dealer will give you that extra 1,000, that equity in that car, to put onto another PCP deposit. But be careful, that's not guaranteed. So that's just a bonus. The other thing you can do then So you can either just, as I said, hand back the keys, you can roll on to another PCP, or if you've decided over the 3 years, I really like this car, I can't give it back, you'll have to pay that 10,000 to actually own the car. But as I said, PCP is not the best way to buy a car. If you're intent on buying a car and owning it at the end, I would suggest you get a bank loan or a credit union loan. So I hope that makes it clear. It is quite complex.
Okay, so do you have any insurance money saver tips?
Yeah, there's a few, I would say. Obviously, the most blinding obvious one is shop around, and also go back to whoever is your insurance company, go onto their website and see what price they give you as a new customer, because insurance companies do not reward loyalty, and they'll always give you a better deal as a new customer, and then ring them and say, listen, you know, you were offering me this as a new customer, I'm a loyal customer, can you match it? The other thing is, it's difficult, I know, because insurance costs are so high, but if you pay up front, it's an awful lot cheaper than paying in instalments, because you really do have to pay an awful lot more. And the third thing I would definitely say is make sure you put a realistic value on your car. Your car is not worth whatever you paid for it. It has depreciated over the last number of years or whatever. So get an accurate value, but be very careful. If you under-insure your car and you do have an accident, the insurance company will give you the underinsured value. If you have an accident, though, if you've over-insured it, they will only give you the market value. So you need to get an accurate cost of replacement for your car and only pay that.
Okay, so do you have any scrappage tips?
Right, if you're going for scrappage schemes, at the moment there isn't a huge amount of those, but there will be in the next few weeks. Basically, once the 192 registration kicks in July, our car makers will be doing their damnedest to get you into dealerships and showrooms. New car sales are down about 10% this year, so there will be really good deals coming on stream in the next few weeks. So if you are thinking about a scrappage scheme for your car, I would definitely consider people like Hyundai, Nissan, Seat, Peugeot, Volkswagen. They always have really good deals for scrappage. As I said, it'll be another few weeks before you'll know about them. Then sit down and compare them, and always look at the cost of ownership. It's not simply what they're going to give you for your old car, it's how much they'll give you off your new car. So look at how much is it going to cost me to change my car before you make a decision.
Okay, so can you suggest which is better, manual or automatic?
Great debate. There's more and more automatic cars being bought in Ireland at the moment. A lot of that is down to the increase in hybrids and electrics, but really it depends on the type of driving you do. If you do a lot of city centre, sort of bumper to bumper, stop and start, automatics are worth it. They're always that bit more expensive to buy, but they are becoming more and more fuel efficient, and in a lot of cases now they'll actually be more fuel efficient than a manual car. So I would say it really depends on your style of driving and your type of commute.
Okay, so William Quirk wants to know, so hardwired dash cam installations in a new car, do they invalidate the warranty even if it's installed by the main dealer?
I haven't come across any invalidations of warranties because of them, so no, I don't think so, but I would just double check it if you can. But as I said, I'm not aware of any reason why it would.
Okay, so what budget car is the most environmentally friendly in your opinion?
Obviously, in terms of environmentally friendly, the hierarchy goes electric cars are the most, then hybrid, then petrol, and diesel would be the least. So I would advise anyone, kind of look for the most environmentally friendly car in your budget. That's not always to say possible if you have a 10k budget or whatever, but I would look, as I said, if you can't afford hybrid and you can't afford electric, look at least petrol. It's better than diesel.
Okay, and the last question today is, what's the best automatic that does low mileage?
If you're a low mileage driver and you're looking for an automatic, I would look for a hybrid, definitely, and there's a good few of those. Depending on your budget, if it's a family car, you might look at something like the Toyota CHR. If you have a smaller budget, I would look at maybe a Lexus CT200H or an IS300H. So definitely I'd look at a hybrid, because then you get the benefit of low mileage and you get an automatic. Thank you, and I will be answering questions online on Facebook later if I missed out on any. Thank you.